Well, today we're going to look at solving these two variable equations using the elimination process, the elimination method for solving these two variable equations. All right, well, the best way to learn is to do. So let's start with a problem here. So the first problem we're going to do is 3x minus 4y equals 8. Okay, that's our first equation, and it has two variables, x and y. And our second equation is 5x plus 4y equals negative 24. Okay, now what do we notice about these equations? Well, the first thing we notice is that they both have two variables, two different letters, x and y. All right. Now what we're going to try to do, we're going to try to eliminate one of those letters. Because we want to come with an answer, x equals a number, y equals a number. And so the best way to do that in this case is let's take a look at these two numbers here. Notice these variables here. We have a negative 4y and a positive 4y. That means in math we call those the inverses of each other, their inverse relationship. In other words, just in regular everyday talk, they get eliminated. They're gone. So if we add these two equations together, if we combine them, and if you want, you can write the little word add over here. That's not too good, is it? Well, if you write the little word add over there, it might remind you that you're combining these two equations, or you can even put a big plus sign or something. So 3x plus 5x, or 3x combined with 5x, is 8x. These y's go away because they're the opposite of each other. And then 8 plus negative 24 is negative 16. So now we can divide both sides by 8, and we end up with x equals negative 2. Okay, so far so good. Now we can put this answer back into either one of these equations. We can put it into this equation, our top one, or this one here. It doesn't make any difference. You'll come out with the same answer. I'm going to put it in the first one, just, I don't know, for whatever reason. And then we'll figure out what y is, and boom, we have our answer. Okay, so we have 3x. Now, what is x? We just figured out x is negative 2, so I'm going to put parentheses here. So 3, that means 3 times negative 2 minus 4y equals 8. Okay, so far so good. What's 3 times negative 2? Well, of course, that's negative 6 minus 4y equals 8. Now we have a pretty normal regular type equation. This negative 6 is going to jump the fence and over here become a positive 6. So now we have negative, because that's gone over here, we have negative 4y equals 14. And this happens so often in algebra, you might as well get used to it. We're not going to come out with just a regular number like 1, 2, 3 type number. It's going to be a fraction, but that's still a number, of course. And that happens a lot in algebra. It's just the way it is. So anyway, we divide both sides by negative 4, so we get y equals negative. I'm going to put the negative up on top here. Negative 14 over 4, and that's the correct answer, but lots of times you should reduce it. get it down in its lowest terms, if you remember that from fraction days. And both top and bottom here divide by 2. So we end up with what's negative 14 divided by 2 is negative 7. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. So our answer is, and we'll put it in these parentheses, this as a point. So negative 2 and negative 7 over 2. And that is our answer to that problem. So notice what we did. A good thing to remember is if you can line up your letters, sometimes problems, they don't line them up for you. So you line up your letters, and we were lucky, we're very fortunate this time, the y's just eliminated each other. All right. Now let's try another one. It's going to be a little bit different. We'll switch colors here to blue. Let's try this one here. Let me make this bigger. And so give us a little elbow room. So we have x plus 2y equals 4. That's our first equation. Okay. And our second one is x minus y equals negative 5. Oh boy. So what do we see here? Well, we got the same deal. We got 2 letters, the x and the y. We want to eliminate one of them so we can get a regular number for a letter. And then take that answer, plug it back into one of these original equations and figure out what the other letter is. But we notice that, well, we have x and x here, but they're both positive, so they can't be eliminated. And then we have a positive 2y and a negative y. So I'll show you, what do we do here? Well, we're going to transform these 2 equations here. And let me, I hope this works. We'll try it like that. Now this one's going to stay the same. This top one, we're not going to do anything to it. So I'm going to write it over here after we did the transforming here. It doesn't really transform at all. Okay, and this often happens with elimination. Sometimes you got to transform both of them. But for today, we'll just transform one of them. Okay, now this bottom equation, this guy here, this one we're going to transform, okay? And the way we're going to transform that is we're going to work on the y's. Now you could very well change the x's. It's perfectly fine. But I'm going to do the y's because I notice one's a positive 2y and this is a negative y. So if I can make this into a negative 2y, it'll be just like that problem we just did, you know, with the 4y and the positive 4y, boom, they go away. So if I can make this into a negative 2y, we're all set. Now, how am I going to do that? Well, if I multiply it by 2, let's see what happens. I'm going to put times 2 on our transforming line. And down here, it's not quite exactly proper math, but we'll, you know, we won't tell anybody, okay? I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 2. Okay, you're not supposed to do it like this, but it's the easy way. Why make more work? So we get 2 times x is 2x, and I'm going to write it over here. And then 2 times negative y is negative 2y. I guess 2 times the equal sign is still the equal sign, right? And then 2 times negative 5 will be negative 10. Aha. So you see what happened? We have right here in this box thing right here, if I can draw it. Well, if it's okay. We have, or just like we did with the last problem, that positive 4y, negative 4y. Now we have a positive 2y and a negative 2y. Boom, those babies are going to go. Let me draw a line here. Oops, that's not too good. Let me use the line function here. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Not that great. Yeah, good enough. If we combine these two or add them, we'll just use a big plus sign, okay? And I see a letter by itself, so I'm going to stick a 1 in front of it. So 1x plus 2x is 3x's. Remember, if the letters are exactly the same, just work with the numbers. These two go away, which is what we want. And 4 plus a negative 10 is going to be a negative 6. Now we divide both sides by 3. And we get x equals negative 2. So we've got one variable solved. Now we can put that back into either one of these equations, this one or this one, and we'll figure out what y is. I think we'll put it in the top one. I don't like the bottom one, it's -5 and stuff. But again, it doesn't matter. You can, whatever you float your boat, you can pick any one you want. But I'll just pick the top one. So let's put it over here. So we have, what is x? X is -2. And then plus 2y equals 4. Okay, so far so good. We'll have that -2 jump. It becomes a +2 over here. Boom, baby, they're gone. So we end up with 2y equals 6. And I bet you at this stage you can eyeball that and say, well, y is going to be 3. And that is our answer. I'll put it in proper form here. -2 and 3. It's just as easy as that. So what did we do? We had to transformigate one of the equations so we can get to the elimination part like we saw there in the red box. Okay, all right, you ready for a tough one? Here we go with this is going to be kind of a tough one here. All right. Let's see if we can figure this out. We have -6x. This will be our last one, okay? Plus 5y. This is kind of a long video today, but that's all right. We're getting into the tough stuff. So we just got to be patient with ourselves. Equals 22. And then the second equation is 2x plus 3y equals 2. Okay, well, not too many negatives, so that's good. All right, now let's take a look at, see, you got to kind of formulate a plan. You got to strategize, see? So we have an equation up here as a negative. Lots of times, you know what a trick is? Lots of times, if one of these things is negative, one of these letters is negative and the other is positive, that's the one to work on. You'll notice that the 5y and the 3y, they're both positive. That makes it kind of tough to eliminate them. I mean, you can, but why do extra work? But the x's, this is a -6x. See, that's a negative, and this is a positive. So what that means is, if I can make this 2x into a +6x, boom, baby, we are in business. All right, so let's do the transforming stuff here. This one, we're going to work on the x's. So this x stays the same. This whole equation will stay the same. So we'll just write it over here. -6x plus 5y equals 22. Okay, so far so good. That doesn't get transformed at all. But that's a terrible line. Let's try this line thing. All right, we'll just forget the arrow. All right, now this one we're going to transform. Now, how are we going to transform it? Well, how do we get a regular 2 to be a regular 6? Well, you multiply by 3. What could be easier? So times 3. And maybe this time we'll put, again, this isn't really exactly proper math, but for our purposes, we're just interested in getting the answer. We're just doing the regular way to do this. So, okay, let's go. We have 3 times 2x is 6x. Aha. 3 times positive 3y is, what's that going to be? 9y, right? Okay. 3 times our equal sign, I guess is still our equal sign. I'm not quite sure about that. But anyway, 3 times 2 is 6. Now we're going to combine these two equations. If you want to put a big plus sign there, you can to help remind you. But notice what we have now. These boys here, boom, baby. One of them is negative. This one here, of course, and this one is positive. Now you might say, well, geez, how do you know it's positive? Well, a trick is the only time a number is negative is when it has a negative sign in front of it. In other words, if there's no sign in front of it, it's just a regular everyday positive number. So what happens is they get eliminated because they're opposites. So let's work on our y's. 5 plus 9 is 14. Now remember, we can combine these two because the letters are exactly the same. Okay, when the letters are exactly the same, you can work on the numbers. So 14y equals 28. And if we divide both sides by 14, we end up with 2. So y equals 2. So far, so good. Okay, now we can put it back in either one of these equations over here you want to. You can put it in the top one or the bottom one, not with the 3, but this one here. Okay, I'm going to put it in the bottom one, all right? Because I see that negative sign and I'm not crazy about negative. So let's try putting it in this bottom one. So we have 2x and then plus 3. Now what was y? Oh yeah, it's 2 equals 2. Okay, so far so good. And now we have, so 2x plus 6, that's 3 times 2, of course, equals 2. That positive 6 is going to jump and become a negative 6 over here. Okay, so boom, baby, she's gone. We have 2x equals, well, what's 2 minus 6? Well, if you forget how to do those, just think, well, that's backwards. That's like ass backwards. It should be 6 minus 2. So 6 minus 2 is 4, right? Because it's back assward, it's going to be negative 4. Okay, that's one way to remember that stuff. Okay, we'll divide both sides by 2. And we end up with x equals negative 2. So we'll put it here in our proper format here. So negative 2, our answer to those equations, solving those system of equations is negative 2, 2. And that is all there is to it. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.